Well, since I've been on a roll with predictions here on the channel in 2017, I figured I'd throw out my predictions for what it means that net neutrality ended yesterday. Of course, the FCC voting to repeal the net neutrality legislation left in place by the Obama administration. And I want to particularly focus on what it means for gamers and collectors, because I think there are some interesting implications. But I'm not one of these people who believes that this will be an immediate negative for everyone. Of course, you've heard the other side of net neutrality. So, well, we didn't have net neutrality before 2015 and everything was fine, so everything will be fine now. And I don't want to support that position because I don't believe that's true. I think net neutrality was one of the rare instances in Washington where there was some forethought put into the legislation. The way the big telecoms work, the way the economy is moving in general, we see a lot of predatory rent seeking. In other words, hey, you have a commodity, you have an item that people need, and you are going to extract every last bit of money possible from them. And I think the people behind net neutrality saw that that is potentially where the internet can go. And I think it will head in that direction, but not in the sense that in July of 2018, you're going to get some info from your cable company saying, okay, well now YouTube is in the premium tier and Steam is in the ultra premium tier. I mean, that is, of course, possible. That's one way that it could play out, but I don't see it accelerating that quickly. What I think you'll see in the near term is something like, well, your equipment rental rates will slightly go up. Maybe over the course of the next 2 years, you'll see that bill, creep up a little bit. Of course, if you're on a contract, they can't do that. But let's say you get off the contract and you have to renegotiate it, your price will go up slightly. What I think this is going to allow them to do almost immediately is to insist on data caps. I know a lot of places around the country have them. Here on the East Coast, at least, and I have Comcast, we do not have data caps. But I would imagine that if you don't have a data cap, you'll have one. And if you have a data cap, it will be reduced slightly, let's say by 20%. And I think once the cap is in place, it'll be a mechanism by which your cable providers, your internet providers will be able to say, look, I know you're streaming a lot of video. Why don't you stream video through our competing service? You're watching Hulu, you're watching Netflix, and look, if you stream it through our competing service, you won't have to. It won't count against the cap. Or another way that it can go with the caps is, your price will increase, not dramatically like, oh my God, I'm paying $200 and now I'm paying $500, but let's say after a series of price increases. Let's say your prices increase about 20%, and they'll come to you with a deal and say, look, you have unlimited data. It's getting expensive. You're paying $220 a month. You're only using the max data maybe once or twice. Why don't you get into our value program? And yeah, you're going to have a data cap, and it might be around 200 gigabytes or 150 gigabytes. And but you're going to save money. Maybe you'll get your bill down to 120, so it's pretty significant. But of course, as streaming services that you might use, as you download games and things like that, as the digital world kind of intensifies in how it delivers you content and what kind of content it delivers, 4K and so forth, that cap that you just signed up for is not going to cut it, and then you'll be forced to pay for monthly increases. So I think it'll go one of those two ways in the near term. Now, of course, what they could do is ultimately, if they did, after you have 4 or 5 years of that, they might at that point say, look, we're going to bundle services together, and it's always going to be, related against the cap. Look, you can get this premium streaming service. You get YouTube, Hulu, HBO Go, and you have unlimited speed and unlimited data for those services. Now, as gamers, what I think will happen is, whatever the gaming, whether it's Steam or Xbox or PSN, that will be on whatever tier they create. That'll be the top tier because I know gamers will pay. That they're addicted to this online gaming, or in my case, Steam. Hey, Christmas sales. I'm downloading things left and right, gigabytes upon gigabytes a day. So they'll get you that way. Now, I mean, I do realize that part of the reason why the telecom lobby wanted to do away with net neutrality was also so that they could charge providers of content for the fast lane. So I do think that will probably happen in the near term as well. Again, not dramatically. I think maybe they'll Netflix will cut a preemptive deal with the providers and say, look, we'll kick in some extra money, and then so you'll probably see whatever your subscriptions are, whether it's WWE Network, Netflix, HBO, and so forth. It may go up by $1 or $2 each year. So you were used to paying. I don't have Netflix. I don't know what it was back 10 years ago when I had it. It was $9.99. So maybe you're paying $12.99. Maybe the next year, it goes up to $13.99. So there will be, I think, a gradual price creep on that end to make up for what they're going to have to fork over to these telecom companies. But I think, like I said, for the majority of us, it's not, the usability experience is not going to change dramatically, at least immediately. We'll still be using the internet as we use it. It'll just progressively, like I said, get more expensive, or your enjoyment of it will be tied to some kind of arbitrary data cap that will, in effect, act as a mechanism to monetize the subscription further. And like I said, then maybe they'll offer you a deal, and that's when these tiers will come in. But I think it's part and parcel of a movement to really not give you any kind of free-form enjoyment of media. If you want to watch a video online, you're going to have to sit through the pre-roll ads or the ads that are interspersed. And you're going to have to fork over more money to your ISP so that you can stream video in the high quality that you want. There will be that kind of calculation. Well, do I really want to see this movie bad enough to, pay X amount for a data cap upgrade? Your enjoyment of the media that you consume will be more intensely monetized moving forward. And I think that's where the connection is to the retro gamer, because I think what this is going to do is going to really put a premium on physical media. And I've said this before, hoard physical media, or, we'll be incentivized to do that because, in a future where using the internet is, freely in unlimited way is not a given, that's going to be your fallback position. And I think this actually, and hoard is a strong word, but I think there's going to be an incentive for those of us who have physical media to hold on to it, to hold on to those game collections, to have a closet filled with stuff so that you always have an outlet. Hey, okay, I hit my data cap for this month. I'm not going to be able to kick back and watch TV this weekend. So let me go into the movie collection. Let me go into the video game collection. Let me play a video game that doesn't have a paywall. Let me have a series of them lined up so I can get the enjoyment and the physical act of playing a game, but I don't have to buy packs of nonsense. And so that's, kind of a similar thing. Our enjoyment of gaming is being spliced up and monetized in a million different ways, and you can almost see the net neutrality legislation as being a kind of broad political version of that in the stuff that we consume. So, obviously I think it's sad. I think it's a symptom of a disease that has really infected our political and regulatory systems, but that being as it may, I actually think now is one of the best times ever to be a retro collector, because you have the material. I mean, it's preservationist in a way. You're preserving a kind of media that maybe you won't have access to because it won't be so popular on these services, and on the other hand, you have a fallback position. You can entertain yourself in the old-fashioned way, sit back, relax, enjoy on your terms, and not be nickeled and dimed for every minute of your enjoyment.